Barbarian is a movie that reminds us of the dangers of women and Airbnbs. Being a movie that appeals to breastfeeding connoisseurs all over the world, Barbarian's one and only objective in life is to leave you thinking, what? The movie begins with a woman named Tess arriving at an Airbnb to find out that she's going to be bunking with Pennywise tonight due to it being double booked. And due to the property being situated in a long-neglected Detroit suburb, bearing a stark resemblance to modern-day Ukraine, Keith suggests that Tess stays here for the night while they wait until the morning to get all of this sorted. And after sharing a bottle of wine together, Tess wakes up in the middle of the night to Keith making noises that can only be described as not good. After checking to see if he isn't having one of the worst wet dreams of his life, she wakes up the next morning to see the full extent of damage done to the neighbourhood. No, not by Keith's wet dream. It was already like that. After heading out for the day to do boring, non-important stuff like attend a job interview, yuck, she returns to the Airbnb to be greeted by this friendly fellow as he sprints towards her yelling all manner of crazy things like subscribe to Big Will. And not only is she chased by a maniac, there's no toilet paper left. I guess it's time for someone to buy new socks. After heading down in the basement to find more toilet paper, the door shuts behind her, locking her in. And while she's down there, she's got all the time in the world to think about today's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. Got ya. And much like Tess, Raid suits me best when I've got a little bit of time to kill. Whether that's when I'm totally not locked in a basement, waiting for the microwave to finish, or while I wait for this very video to export. The easy pick-up-and-go nature of the game lends itself to a busy lifestyle where you might not be able to sit down for a considerable amount of time. Instead, just a few minutes here or there to grind some levels or to take on some bosses. And this April, Raid's doing a dragon egg hunt. Download Raid using the links below, copy your in-game player ID, and then head over to egghunt.polarium.com from April 14th to May 15th. And once you're there, enter your player ID and then journey through the flaming portal to embark on an AR adventure. For new players, scour the dragon's lair using your phone, and if you find the hidden egg, you'll be in for a chance to win in-game items and even real-life prizes, ranging from legendary Raid champions to Amazon gift cards with a total value of $2,000. Existing Raid players aren't left out either. Go to egghunt.polarium.com and you'll find a special promo code that everyone can use to earn a small in-game gift. So new players, use my link or scan the QR code right here to get a free starter pack with this cool in-game loot, and once you're in, find me in-game and join my clan. So click that link in the description to get started. With Keith out of the house, being busy dragging kids down storm drains or something, Tess begins looking for something to help get her out. But what she ends up finding is the ultimate gift that any woman would love to have. Rope. She finds it sticking out of the wall, and after pulling on it, a secret passageway is revealed, and Tess has discovered 1 out of 3 of this level's secrets. But after taking one look inside, she rather smartly says, "Nope." Before immediately, not rather smartly going in there, after using a mirror to reflect light. After venturing in, Tess comes across a room containing nothing but a video camera, a bed, and a bucket, as well as some absolutely terrible interior design choices, like a bloodied handprint on the wall. Some Airbnbs come with a hot tub, but mine comes equipped with your very own torture room. After Keith returns home and lets her out of the basement, she waits upstairs as he proceeds to investigate the bucket room when suddenly he goes silent. And after finding no trace of him, she discovers another door with stairs leading even further down. But instead of another, certainly well due, nope, she decides to take the descent down the terribly creepy, pitch black staircase in the middle of the abandoned neighborhood, but just so happens to also contain the screams for help coming from Keith. After making it to the bottom, she finds an incredibly large tunnel filled with gates and cages, as it appears that they've got a really bad mole problem. Eventually she finds Keith crawling on the floor, apparently trying to blend in with the moles, which doesn't seem to work very well, as suddenly a frantic naked lady appears, and not the good kind, as she then repeatedly crushes his skull against the wall in a scene that I'm not going to be able to show you. Uncensored videos for patrons and YouTube members, wink wink. And after watching how strawberry jam is really made, and being able to smell what this lady ate for breakfast, almost halfway through the movie, it then cuts to a completely new separate character. AJ. You know, that one dude from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He's an actor who's just been fired due to allegations of him violating a female co-star, shortly followed by him finding out his bank account is about to be violated after paying all of the court fees. With 3 months until he's as broke as Keith's face bones, he flies to Detroit to liquidate some of his assets, one of them being the house with the bucket room and the Colgate deficient squatter. After arriving, he finds evidence of people being here, despite being told by the rental agency that it's not been booked for 2 weeks. The next morning, he hears a noise coming from the basement, so being deathly afraid of moles, grabs a kitchen knife and a torch to point in their stupid little eyes. He ends up coming across the hidden door, and the room that looks like it's been primarily used for things of the not-so-great variety, and the first thought that comes to his head is if he can list it as extra square footage when selling the house. Everyone loves a torture room, and while using a tape measure to figure out just how large it is, he discovers the other door leading further down, which of course he begins to measure, paying absolutely no mind to the human-sized kennels. But suddenly he hears music coming from one of the rooms, and finds it full of dirty, soiled clothes, as well as a TV displaying a breastfeeding video, as whoever's been staying down here really knows how to party. And someone who's incredibly passionate about the argument of inches versus centimeters suddenly grabs the end of the measuring tape and rips it away into the darkness. And after hearing something come from said darkness, he runs in the opposite direction, knocking his torch as he goes. Trying to get it to work, it begins to flash, when suddenly he sees the woman approaching him for a nice big sloppy kiss. But not wanting to get too involved with another female, after the whole legal case and stuff, he runs away and accidentally falls into a pit. A pit that somehow contains a still alive Tess. It then flashbacks to the 1980s, the good old days of smoking while pregnant and when seatbelts were for losers, as we see the original owner of the house, Frank. He's at the store, buying plastic sheets and baby supplies for a daughter he's got on the way, as he hides that bump exceptionally well. Frank is what you would call a little bit demented. And by a little bit demented, I mean a lot of bit demented. As while pulling out of the store, he spots a woman, so decides to follow her home. And after putting on a work uniform and telling her that he's here to do a routine check, he's immediately let into her house with no question, where he then proceeds to unlock the bathroom window for easy access later, which is done in a seamless and effortless manner, indicating that he is incredibly well versed in the art of doing this, which is emphasized even more due to him arriving home and heading down to the cellar towards the sounds of a screaming woman. Back in the present, Tess tells AJ that no matter what, he must remain calm around the woman, immediately followed by him not remaining calm around the woman as she lowers a hair-covered baby bottle filled with milk into the cage and gestures for him to drink it. After AJ refuses and Tess gets a healthy dose of calcium, the woman drops in with them, calls Tess her baby, she takes him up from the pit, straight to the breastfeeding room to engage in the nice mother-son bonding exercise of forced breast milk consumption. With the cage left open, Tess spots her opportunity to leave, but accidentally walks into AJ's tape measure, alerting the woman to her presence and her deep hatred for the metric system. After making it out of the cave and finding the basement door locked, Tess breaks open the window and is dragged out by the man politely asking her to subscribe to Big Will right before the woman can grab her legs. With Tess now in the sunlight, the man tells her that he's aware of the woman. Not sure why he hasn't told anyone, but okay. But he tells her that once it's dark, she'll come out of the house to look for her because she's got plenty of milk to go around. We see that AJ manages to find another door in the tunnels just as the woman emerges from the darkness. But after looking at him for a while, she slowly backs away to leave him be. So with the woman gone, AJ enters the room to find the disgusting state that someone has been living in. That person being Frank, the original owner of the house from the 1980s, laying in bed as he's got a real bad case of almost dead. While looking for his phone, AJ finds a collection of VHS tapes with various different women's names on. And after playing one of them, because sure, why not sit down and watch a movie right now, he discovers that Frank has been kidnapping, imprisoning, and brutally violating many women over the years while filming it all for his personal collection. That explains the bucket room. AJ being like, well that ain't cool. He watches as Frank pulls a gun from his bedside drawer and places it against his temple as he creates an extra orifice for himself. With Tess being free, she makes it to a gas station and calls the police, but after she takes them to the house, they decide that a much better option would be to not do their jobs and leave as they think she's lying. So being all on her own again, Tess breaks back into the house and takes her car keys. But just as she's leaving, a psychotic naked chick kicks open the door and starts wailing, until Tess sandwiches her between the car and the wall. After watching Frank create impromptu modern art across his bedroom walls, thinking the woman is still about, AJ takes his gun as Tess descends down the stairs, quickly followed by a bullet descending into her chest. After firing at the wrong woman, he drags her out of the house, and they discover that the woman is gone. With AJ not having his keys, and with AJ not going back in to get them, they head towards a nearby water tower that the man from earlier said would be safe. He was wrong. After he explains to the pair that Frank would abduct women, make them pregnant, and then make the offspring pregnant, he tells them that the woman has never once entered this building, immediately followed by the woman once entering the building. She tears off his arm and beats him to death with it, as Tess and AJ climb the tower to get away from the woman. And after accidentally dropping the gun over the edge, because apparently AJ's hands are made from butter, Knowing that the woman views Tess as her child, he decides to throw Tess over the edge as the woman jumps off after her, and after looking down to see Tess laying on the woman who's splattered across the concrete, he heads down to find Tess still alive. But so is the woman. She lifts him up by the throat, does her best Corey Taylor impression by forcing her thumbs into his eye sockets before tearing his skull in half. With AJ no longer having to worry about his ongoing legal issues anymore, the woman calls Tess baby and points back towards the house as she seems to genuinely care about her and wants to look after her. So Tess points a gun at her face and pulls the trigger. Before we wrap things up, I'd like to just give a massive shout out to all of my YouTube members and patrons, the people who every month continue to support the channel, despite YouTube making it apparently obvious that they're not really fond of the type of content I make, as well as just generally supporting. If you're interested in becoming a YouTube member or a patron, you get access to the private Discord server, as well as uncensored versions of all videos going forward. So starting off with this week's new YouTube member sign-ups, a big thank you to Alex, Subject7654, Hideous Lemon, Lockie Davis, Orchid T, Austin Sanders, Nathan Duffy, Sagamki, Bruno Budapesti, Sam, Wayne, Pedro Pascal, Degenda Padwafadwaf, yep, I'm sure I pronounced that correctly, Gary Wids, Sky106 Alt, Mindless Zebra, Philip Hofig, Sabian, UTI L1TY, Cartnor, Gangster Goose, Fox and Owl, another name that I absolutely can't pronounce, and Carter Abbas. Heading over to this week's new Patreon sign-ups, a big thank you to Scotsman88, Juan Daniel Batista, Maximus Thikerson, Squire, Taylor Thompson, B, Bobby Summit, Jay Fitz, Jake Reaver, Ali, Billy Gill, Patrick Ari, Jace Michael, Mikey K, Pestilence Ridden, Eddie Wrangle, Isopod Fried Rice, Rasmus Hollenberg, Johnny Cox, Holy Zombie, Brian Merritt, Chandler Ross, Ty Feldman, Hunter Ferguson, Ali Plight, Ty's T, Dominic, Bad Baker MC, and Jada. So once again, a massive thank you to all YouTube members and patrons, and a huge thank you to everyone else for watching.